Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I want to talk about a tiny little problem the Washington Commanders might encounter before training camp. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. I don't think it's a big issue at all, but I did want to talk about it and need you guys to watch the videos. So yeah, the Washington Commanders have a tiny problem, a little bit of bad news that at this point, 5 days before rookies will report for training camp. So on July 18th, that is when the Commanders rookies are expected to report. Trey Amos is the only rookie that hasn't signed yet, and that is nothing, to do with Trey Amos, and it's more to do with the second round picks around the NFL. And shout out to Josh Taylor here, have his tweets pulled up. So right now, 30 of the 32 second round picks have not signed their rookie contracts, and it's because of a disagreement over guaranteed money. The Texans gave Jaden Higgins a fully guaranteed contract, so a lot of normally that's not the case. So a lot of these second round picks are trying to get fully guaranteed contracts. I think once training camp gets here, I think a lot of these are going to start to get resolved, whether it's the team just, giving in and giving them that money, or the player and the agent being like, you know what, I'm confident in my abilities. I believe I will be here for the 4 years. And I think, that guaranteed money doesn't matter. I'm going to be here the 4 years, so I'm going to get it. I think there could be a combination of that. Maybe the teams don't give fully guaranteed, but they give 80%, 90% of it, guaranteed, which, would be good for these players. So, obviously on the players' side, give them as much money as possible. They're second round picks, and, it's only a 4-year deal. And yeah, they're getting life-changing money, but, if it's not, you never know in the NFL what can happen. So getting them as much money as possible, is always good. So, definitely rooting for the players in this one. But let's talk about Trey Amos. And again, I know some of you guys, will be like, why are you, clickbaiting or whatever. And I know it's a little bit clickbaity, but hey, it's July 13th. Not a lot of people want to click on the videos if it just says, exactly what it is. Trey Amos hasn't signed his rookie deal. So, it is part of the business, and I'm sorry about that. But, this gives me the opportunity to talk about Trey Amos, to talk a little bit about, the training camp situation with, some of the other players in contract. I mean, really just Terry, but then also just talk about training camp in general, which is going to be here before we know it. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, Trey Amos, my concern level is very, very, very low on this one. I believe that, it's going to get done July 18th today. But if it doesn't get done, I think that is when it starts to become a real issue, because rookies need all the practice and PT they can get. And I strongly, strongly believe in this. Over the last few years, just following the team closely, I really noticed that some of these players that even miss a week with injuries and stuff like that, unless they're like one of them dudes, one of those guys that, they're just different, a lot of times it really impacts them and their development in their rookie year. Antonio Gandy-Gold, not like he was lighting it up in training camp, but he was doing pretty well, through the off-season workouts. And then I don't know if it was a concussion or something, was out and, was behind. He fell behind. And same thing when, he was playing. And then, when he came back from that hamstring injury in his rookie year, he was completely different player. And there's, different examples of that if you just look back through it. Like Johnny Newton, for example. He was really highly touted coming out of college and out of Illinois, I believe, and, didn't have the best rookie year. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. Start off a little bit slow. Guess why? Because of the injury. And I think he started to put it together really well. But when you don't get a full off season, and really he missed a lot of the off season, it really does make a difference as a rookie. And, Johnny Newton, that's why I'm expecting a big year from him. I think that he could have a decent year for them this year. And, not necessarily that I'm expecting it, but I think, there's a possibility of him having a big second year jump because he missed. I'm trying to think through it, but I know at least he missed, you know, you know, May, June, and then I know some of training camp at least he was limited. So that really does make a difference. I really do think it does. And so I would say, Trey Amos, I don't know the specifics of it. If, all right, you don't have the contract, but you can work out, because I know some of the players have done that. And Trey Amos participated in rookie mini camp, in OTAs, voluntary and non-voluntary OTA. So he was there and he was participating. But and there's that's what happens most of the time. Sometimes the players sit out, like Shamar Stewart from the Bengals, and that's a whole nother story. But he didn't get the contract he wanted, and he held out completely. I mean, I guess not completely, because he's going to practices, but he's not practicing. I think that's, again, a big, big stunt in development for these guys, especially in terms of what they can do in their rookie season. So I don't know if they can practice, but it's a league-wide issue, 30 of the 32. So I hope they get it done with Trey Amos. I don't care about the rest of the league. Just, Trey Amos, let's get it done. But it does make sense why, it hasn't happened. It's not a Trey Amos specific issue, which is good. That's good. It's not a Trey Amos specific issue, but at the end of the day, he's unsigned right now, and you would like it to get done. I was trying to do research on the whole contract situation, and some of Google was saying that he had a deal done, but I couldn't find it anywhere on Twitter or besides that. And I think it was just an AI review or whatever, the sum up. I think that was just his projected contract, which, I can pull it up right here. It was 4-year, $7.2 million contract. But again, this is a AI overview. So that's kind of, what it's looking like there. But I'm excited for Trey Amos. You see, the clip here, him and Lattimore doing some work together. Lattimore looks explosive. Trey Amos, apparently was locking up Deebo Samuel in OTAs. So he's doing really well. And he was, at least. I don't know what he's been up to in these 6 weeks. And I think the 6 weeks between OTAs and training camp is huge, huge, huge. And if you can, that's a really big test. How do these guys look at the end of these OTAs and then the start of training camp? Because that's a big period of time where the media and the coaches haven't seen these guys, play. So, they don't know what they've been up to. We don't know what they've been up to. Some of them are posting, some of them are not. So, it's a good time to see how much these guys have improved, how, are they fit, stuff like that. And, see, sometimes, the coaches, they'll give some things to work on for the players over this 6-week period and, see what they can do. So it's the first week or two of training camp, really, really eye-opening and important. And I would just say, though, of course, I'll be hyping them up, and everyone will be, but you got to take it with a grain of salt. We all know the training camp warriors that ball out during training camp that don't during the regular season. Troy Apke was one of them. Who else? Cam Sims, De'Ami Brown. Those types of guys that are better practice players than real game players. And there's guys also that are better in-game players than practice players. For example, I'm not saying this guy was a stud, was, the best quarterback in the world, but he was really, really good backup. And I think, a okay starter at some points. Taylor Heineke, not a great practice player, but he's a gamer. In the games, he was able to get it done. So Taylor Heineke always one of my favorite quarterbacks that we've had here, just for that little stretch he had with us. But I would say that just got to keep those things in mind when you're hearing about these players. And yeah, 18th is the day the rookies report. I think the 21st is the day that the other guys report. Commanders training camp report day. I believe the 21st is the day that those guys report, but it is what it is. Let's see. I'll try to pull it up here, but you never know. I'm going to try to go to one of the training camp days, but we'll see. Yeah, so 22nd is the day that it starts, I guess. Is that, I mean, that's what they said here in terms of the signing. I guess the signing period ends. I guess it has nothing to do with training camp, but I believe it's on that like 21st. I think is the day they report, and the 22nd might be the first day of practice. I believe that is the case. Not completely sure, but that's my guess on the situation. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Here we have the dates. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Sorry about this. Trying to get you guys the information. So 18th and 22nd. So 18th will be 5 days from now, and the 22nd is 9 days away from now. So still got a little bit of time for, until the vets report. But yeah, most vets are reporting the 22nd, and the rookies vary, from the 15th to the 22nd. So we're getting them in a little bit earlier than usual, which is good. But some teams are getting them in even earlier than that. But that is it for today's video. Just want to talk about that. Bring it up again on a scale from 1 to 10. I would put the concern level at like a 2, 1.5. But then, if I feel like there's no danger of him not being a commander, obviously, it's just a matter of, all right, is he going to miss any practice? And if he starts to miss practice, then it starts to become a 3 or a 4 for me, maybe a 5 out of 10 on the alarm scale or concern scale. But again, not a huge deal. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.